Peace, 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 peace. This is the original OG, aka Uncle the Corporal from OmegaFMRadio.co.uk. I'm going to be talking about black females dating Caucasian males. Mr. Trevor Dixon, please step to me.
Omega, Omega, Omega FM, Omega, Omega, Omega FM. You're in tune to 104.1. You're in tune to 104.1.
Thank you, Mr. Trevor Dixon. As I said, I'm going to speak about black females dating Caucasian males and how they think, how they act. They act like there's a white Ku Klux Klan woman stuck in a black woman's body. This is Kemi Badenoch. She is a conservative leader. She's married to a Caucasian male. This is her husband. You can see her husband right there, correct? All right. She's proud. She's all right. Cool. No problem. Now, the problem with Kemi Badenoch is that she thinks and she acts like a white woman. Here she's doing an interview. And in this interview, the presenter is going to ask her, talk about some of the things that she said in the past.
The UK opposition leader, Kemi Badenoch, recently caused controversy by saying she no longer identifies as Nigerian. The Conservative Party politician was born in London to Nigerian parents, but grew up both in Nigeria and the United States. Speaking on the Rosebud podcast, she said she was Nigerian by ancestry, but not by identity. Badenoch, who returned to England aged 16, says she no longer renews her Nigerian passport. Last year, she faced criticism from Nigeria's Vice President, Kashim Shettima, who said she had denigrated the West African country after saying she had grown up in fear and insecurity at a time that Nigeria was plagued by corruption. She's been speaking to the BBC's Amol Rajan.
In preparation for this interview, I rewatched your maiden speech in Parliament, and you talked about growing up in Nigeria as an oil boom baby. There was a big oil boom in Nigeria, and there were also military coups. I think there was in 1983 and 1985, there were big changes to the system there.
Growing up in Nigeria, I saw real poverty. I experienced it. Living without electricity, doing my homework by candlelight because the state electricity board couldn't provide power. Fetching water from a borehole a mile away in heavy, rusty buckets because the nationalized water company couldn't get water out of the taps. I was unlucky enough to live under socialist policies. It is not something I would wish on anyone, and that's just one of the reasons why I am a conservative.
Yeah. One of the main points of your maiden speech was the experience of loss. So born into a middle-class family, your dad was a doctor, your mum was a lecturer, and then your circumstances took a hit. What happened?
So, various things happened. The economy was managed by a government that didn't call itself socialist, but had lots of socialist ideals and ideas.
They controlled the economy.
Yeah, just pretty much full control of the economy, capital controls, fixed currency, etc. But the other reason was because the country itself is a low trust country. It's very multicultural, so lots of different groups. There's there is proper diversity in a way that many people don't recognize in the UK. Everybody looks the same, but different languages, different types of clothing, different customs. And actually, when you have people who retreat into lots of different groups, you create a low trust society. And when you have a low trust society, people think it's okay to cheat the system. And what happened to my family was that we didn't cheat the system. My parents would never take bribes. It was always about integrity. And we had a lot of people in our lives who got rich from, cheating the system, corruption. And my mum and dad said, we don't do that. People would offer my mother money to get their children into university. She was a lecturer at the best university in the country. She said no, other people did that. And so we ended up, apart from the economic crisis, just not personally enriching ourselves. And that meant that we lost quite a lot of money. And that has left me with a loathing of people who cheat the system.
And Lagos, I know you moved around, but Lagos was a pretty dangerous place. You've talked about how it didn't matter that you were middle class because you could literally hear neighbours getting beaten up if they did the wrong things. What was that about?
The being middle class did not protect you from a military government. It was easier when the actual politicians came in. But when I talked about neighbours getting beaten up, that was, you know, actual armed robbers going in that you could hear, and that everybody would be terrified. There was just a lot of lawlessness. Yes, it was you know, crime and disorder, and you could hear it. And if you knew something was happening, you know, everybody would batten down the hatches. And so so when I say I'm a conservative, it's not just because it's for fun. It's because I strongly believe in law and order. That's the stuff that the state needs to enforce. Strongly believe in personal responsibility. Strongly believe in a government not getting involved in all sorts of stuff that it doesn't need to, because quite often it messes things up. When I was in Nigeria, people used to tell me, you don't belong here. So I wasn't just the SWAT in the class. I was the person who would say, that person is copying notes from the other person. I was the tattletale in the class, like getting people into trouble. Because even then I hated cheating, because there I was, I wanted to be first in the class, and I've done all the work. And then there's some people who are copying notes, and so why should they get away with it? And so I'd raise up my hand. I remember there was this extraordinary day. I was in, I must have been about 14 or 15. And I said, he's cheating. I stood up in the middle of the exam, and I stood up and said, he's cheating, he's the one that's doing it. And that boy ended up getting expelled. And I didn't get praised for it. And I was a relatively popular kid at school. And people said, why did you do that? Why would you do that? And I said, because he was doing the wrong thing. And someone said, you don't belong here, that you don't know how to behave, you don't belong here. And I've heard that all my life.
Going from Nigeria to Britain, one-way ticket, age of 16, where you said goodbye to your dad, as it were, gave you, in effect, the equivalent of his last £100.
I didn't think that he was actually going to let me go. He was less keen on it than my mother. I think maybe he thought I was too young, but he could see that I I just wanted to be in London.
Okay, so that is Kemi Badenoch, all right? This is Kemi Badenoch and her husband. A black woman married to a Caucasian male. What happens is when a black female marries a Caucasian, if she was eating rice and peas, stewed chicken, or whatever the Caribbean or African main dish is, the minute she dates a white man, her dish has changed. She's having Yorkshire pudding. She's having Brussels sprouts and all those fish and chips and all those things that go with the white culture. Her friends turn white. This now, here goes somebody else. As I said, this is Kemi Badenoch. That's her husband. This is Candace Owens with her husband. Candace Owens is another one. It's like a white woman stuck in a black woman's body. I'm going to play something from Candace Owens, and I want you to take a listen to this.
Because I've been warning of this. I've written about it. I've given speeches about it in virtually every state in America, warning that in 2020 we would be watching some man die, and the left would use that as a means to try to manipulate Black Americans, and not just a means to manipulate Black Americans, because what you're seeing today, Black Lives Matter, has virtually nothing to do with Black people and nothing to do with preserving Black lives. Of course, if they cared about Black lives, the focus would be on Black communities, and the number one focus would be on Black violence, which is a real issue in America. Instead, they look at something that virtually never happens. And when I say virtually never happens, I mean it happens 9 times a year, which means police almost have a perfect record in terms of arresting violent Black criminals. 9 times a year, it's a very small window of error when Black Americans decide to hand up police officers. Now, we're not condoning that, But to see something like what happened with George Floyd, who was a career criminal, turn into basically Marxism, communism brought to
Listen,
America, them demanding that we change the name, that we wipe history, that we pretend history didn't happen, that we change the year when America even began. You know, you have the 1619 Project, the New York Times. This was really, Black people have always just been a conduit to the left to pursue their more nefarious goals. You can look, and what always surprises me is that people won't even look at their website. They're not even trying to hide what they're after. They routinely attack on their website the people of your family. They tell you essentially that they are Marxists. It reads a lot like Karl Marx and the Communist Manifesto. They think there's something fundamentally wrong and backwards about Western society. It's why they virtually have wiped out Western civilization across college campuses in America, because they want people to hate, to think that there's something fundamentally backwards and wrong about Western civilization. So that's what Black Lives Matter is really all about. It's really just a costume for white liberals and people who wish to see the destruction of Western civilization to wear as they destroy everything that we hold dear in this nation.
Rita.
We will make America great again.
all right, you heard that. That's Kemi Badenoch. Pardon. That, sorry, that is Candace Owens. I believe Candace Owens is a very, very intelligent woman. I think she's articulate and she's charismatic. But she's another one. If she was eating collard greens, candy yam, fried chicken, collard greens, the minute she marries a Caucasian man, her food changes. She's going to want to have Italian food, and I do believe her husband is a Jewish person. So she's going to want to have Jewish food. She's going to want to hang out with Jewish people, and she's going to want to hang out with white people. That's the reality of it. Now, what am I saying? I am saying that black females that date white males, they have a white woman stuck in a black woman's body. Black females will use black males. So you black males, if you've got a friend, a female friend that's dating a Caucasian male, she will use you. I've known a female that I've known from we were kids, and she ends up dating a white man. Her brother told me when I first came here, don't have nothing to do with her, because she will use black men for her white man. Because I've known her for the longest, and at the end of the day, it was true. She would use black men for white men. And then another thing I had to check some of these black females is that they be talking about, oh, black people this and black people that. No, you can't open your mouth and say a word about black people then because you're dating a white man. Better you talk about a white person, but you don't dare open up your sweaty mouth and talk anything derogative about a black person. Let me give you an example what took place one time. I'm at a bus stop. This is in Kilburn at the time. I'm at the bus stop and I saw a young female. She had to be around 28, 29. So I'm the first in the line. So I'm about to board the bus and I said, you know what? Let me let the female go ahead of me. I said, go ahead, miss. Do you know this slimy, grimy, black? I'm going to say it, itch. I'm going to say it. Saw a white man beside on the other side of her and go and tell him to go ahead. Oh, I broke fool. You slimy, grimy. I gave you the opportunity. Oh, I'm sorry. Don't say nothing to me. You're just a slimy, grimy, black itch. Right? So this is the reason why I said that black females will use black males for a white female, for a white male. All right. Now, I want you to listen to. I played Candace Owens just a while ago for you, right? Now, what is the reason? There has to be a reason why that black males, uh, the TV, radio, they're pushing this agenda like it's going out of style about black men, about black females dating white males. Take a listen to this.
It's been a while since we'd heard from Godfrey. The comedian took to social media to address an interracial advertisement he saw in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, that featured a white man with a black woman. Godfrey said that he has a problem with this ad and would ask the question, what are they trying to say? Godfrey said he had a problem with the ad for having a white man with a black woman and asked where was the ad with a black man and a white woman. He would then go on to point out that some women of color who fight against white supremacy have white men, and wonder if having a white man as your partner would take away from their fight against white supremacy. Interracial relationships have been a long discussion in our community, so today on the show we have our comedy hype analyst, Pierre, in the studio to talk all about it. But first, let's take a look at this clip.
Check it out, y'all. I'm in the middle of black-ass Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, okay?
Do or die.
And I'm walking by, you know, because the thing about comedians, just artists, we pay attention to everything. Look it, I just walked past this. Now, I know it's a nice little health, it's like, I guess, a health insurance thing. Fidelis Care. Yeah. But there's this white guy and this black woman, okay? There's been a lot of this. Even at my bank, they got a black woman with a white guy. It's a lot of black women with white guy shit. You know what I mean? It's what I noticed. But in black-ass Brooklyn, all these black people are walking past this, and what are you trying to say? That it's better to get one of these? Get a white guy? And listen, and I don't want any of you interracial motherfuckers that are in an interracial relationship making these stupid-ass comments like, what's wrong? Love is love. Like I said, love is love. Yeah, but don't lose your fucking who you are. And a lot of you tend to do that kind of shit. I have a problem with this. Now, first of all, where's the black dude with the white girl? First of all, we started that. Where's the black dude with the white girl? Where's that? No, because you know why? The people who run it look like him and don't want to see that. You know, there should be black dudes with white girls. There's so many of them. But then you got the white dude with the black girl. So, you know, there's probably some black women going, I need to get me one, yup. I need to get me one. It's like this is security now.
Ooh. Now, I know a lot of people had a lot to say, but I'm interested. What was your natural reaction when you saw that?
Why are you asking me? Because I'm half black, half white. Why am I on the show today?
I mean, it fits.
Am I the person for this? No, but first of all, I know Godfrey personally. I've known him for years. A good brother. He's a very passionate brother, and he's going to push his agenda, which is his black agenda, which I have no problem with that because he sees how, you know, he sees the lack of respect for the black culture.
Right.
And so he's going to be one to fight for it, and I give him props for fighting for it. And I agree with him. Same thing with that. That picture there, you know, especially if it's in black Brooklyn, but I wonder, I've been to Brooklyn, what two streets are you talking about? I mean, just think, white folks all up in that joint, but I get what he's saying. But yeah, to see that visual all the time, to see that it's all right, that, you know, and I know people say, like he said, love is love, we get that. And I used to do a joke about that, like, I don't have a problem with people liking another nationality. I just don't like when you step over your own to get to another person.
Exactly, yeah.
That's the problem I have. When you're like, I don't deal with no black woman, you're a black guy, I gotta give me a white girl. I got a problem with that. But if you run into someone
Okay. So let me say this and break it down the best way possible. I've noticed in the UK that you see a whole bunch of commercials with black females with white males. Now, I don't know what the reason is, but they have an agenda. I think I know what the agenda is, but I'll explain it later on. When I was in the United States, right, I was in Arizona, and there was a club in Scottsdale, a nice club, right? But it was like a money club. So I'm from Brooklyn, New York, Brooklyn, and I go in there, me and my peeps, and I'm seeing some beautiful black females, and they dancing, they got their hair, they looking damn good. I almost fell in love, but they wasn't paying no attention to my black ass. But what I did notice that it was all white boys. And these white boys that was pulling up to the club was driving Mercedes, Benz, Jaguars, the whole 9 yards. Nice cars. Then I noticed the black dudes. They wasn't looking for no black females. They were looking for Korean, those Chinese females, because they got money. I have no problem with that. Self-preservation kicks in at any given time. But in the UK, how can you justify that? You can't justify that because a lot of the time I see black females walking the street with dudes look like trailer park trash, like Eminem. So my mind is, well, you know, why would you want a white dude that look like a trailer park trash to come out of the estates. Oh, well, he likes basketball, he likes reggae music, then if he likes all of them, why didn't you take a black man? So my theory is that uh, she, my theory is that she thinks that a white man looks better than a black man. Okay? Or she may feel that because she has a mixed race child, people's gonna come up to that mixed race child and say, "Oh, ain't she beautiful? Ain't she nice?" and so forth. That's the only reason why I could think of that. Now, this child's gonna be raised, and if it was a black father and a white mother, the mother was eating fish and chips, that's gonna change. She's going to be having jerk chicken, rice and peas, listening to reggae music, going to blues dance, right? So that child is going to be raised basically under the father's wings. And that child, as a mixed race child, is going to be acknowledged as black because it's going to hang out. It's a black child anyway, but it's going to go where all black people are, right? Then you've got the black woman dating a white male. She's dating this white male, right? She is going to be saying that her child is not black. Her child is not white. But because she's hanging around a lot of white people with her child, that child 9 times out of 10 is going to date a white man. Where in the black community, if the father is black, that mixed race child 9 times out of 10 will date a black male. So there has to be a reason why this is taking place. I got my theory, but let's look at it from this perspective. The white race is declining. That's the problem. The white race, listen to this. I want you to listen to this, all right? And this is coming from Louis Farrakhan, which as you know, I'm not a fan of the Nation of Islam. Not one bit, all right? Not a fan of the Nation of Islam. Listen to what Farrakhan is going to say.
Now we're going into Satan's lair. Other analysts have said that, quote, although this plan of action was to be activated in developing countries, it was designed as a two-edged sword that could be swung with equal determination in both developed and developing countries alike. Oh man, I wish that you all had time. Listen, in Europe right now, Patrick Buchanan wrote a book, The Decline of the White Race. In Europe, it's zero population growth for white people.
Listen.
That means they feel within the next 30 to 50 years, the population of white people in Europe will be gone down, down, down. Well, who's in Europe now that this depopulation needs to be exercised in developing countries and developed countries? See, my brothers here and sisters from England.
Listen.
Look at the people that are coming to England from the former colonial territories of the British Empire, from Pakistan, from India, from the West Indies, from Asia. You run to London, you run to England. But they don't want you, because if you stay, in a few years, you become the master of their land, because they are dying. And since you love the white woman and the white man loves the black woman, you all start cohabiting, and then a whole new kind of human being is coming up in Europe that's not white anymore. So we're killing you one way or another. and we're not even trying.
All right. So that's Louis Farrakhan, as you know, or as I said, I'm not a fan of the Nation of Islam, but listen to what he said. The white race is declining. This is the reason why Godfrey noticed in Bed-Stuy, Do or Die, right, that there's a lot of posters of white men with black females. He's scratching his head. Well, what's the reason? I'm in the UK and I'm seeing it on TV too, where every now and, well, not every now and again, a lot of the times you see a white man with a black woman on TV in an advert. And if you don't see the black woman, you see a mixed race child. So what is taking place? My theory is that when that black woman has a mixed race child, she's already a white woman stuck in a black woman's body. She's going to raise that child as basically a white child. And that white child most likely will end up marrying a white man to repopulate the white race. Because as sociologists state, for you to sustain a race, you have to have 2.4, right? I don't know what the 4 is or the 5 is. I don't know if it's a half a child or a leg or whatever. I don't know, all right? But they say that the white race, and this was a couple years ago, is at 1.9. Within the last year, it's gone down to 1.4. And sociologists and so forth want to know, well, what's the reason why? Well, according to me and my theory, I don't say you have to agree with me, but understand where I'm coming from. Maybe it's because in the Western world, there's a rise of homosexuality. So no children is being produced. All right? A lot of the females, they choose to have children in their latter years. They want to get a career first. All right? And by the time they reach 40, 45, menopause kicking, they can't have children. A lot of them, they put their career first. And then you know what they do? Then they get one of those little pocketbook dogs. And by the time they reach 40, 45, here comes menopause. No children. So, what Farrakhan was saying was true. And when we're talking about mixed race children are black. It's the parents are confused by telling the child that, oh, well, you're not black and you're not white. And this is where it goes down to Bob Marley and mixed race children. If you take Bob Marley to Russia, do you think they're going to scratch their head and say, I wonder if he's an Igor? I really wonder if he's an Igor. Or is he white? You know, straight away they're going to say, oh, yeah, Igor. Who's another one that we could put in that same bracket? Alicia Keys. Do you think that when she goes to Russia or Poland or Czechoslovakia or any of them places that they're going to scratch their head and say, I wonder if she's black or white? No. They're going to say, she's Igor. Who might can get away with it is Mariah Carey. Now, Mariah Carey, she's got black in her, but she goes over to one of them places there, they wouldn't even scratch their head and just saying it's a white woman. Period. Now, I'm going to go back to why. I gave it to you from Farrakhan, but I want to give it to you from a white man that's saying the same thing. I want you to take a listen to this.
The declining white population in the United States. You know, this isn't good. Having a cultural, cultural, what's the word I look for? Dominance is important in almost any society. It's not. We've had many societies run by minorities. Many societies. I mean, was Iraq or Iran or something like that? I can't remember. Maybe it's even Syria, where the minority is running the major majority, and that's not good, man. That's not. South Africa, perfect example of that, with apartheid. But now we're getting into the problem of minorities across the board. Because what the interesting thing was, whites are going to drop like a freaking brick in water because of a couple things. One, We're older. That's just all there is to it. The white population is significantly older than all the other populations in the United States, which means we're dying off at a much more quickly rate than all the other populations. Two, whites just aren't having that many kids. Asians aren't having that many kids. I mean, there's a lot of culturals that are not, but whites in the West in particular are not, or not in particular. The whites in the West aren't having that many kids. In Europe, and of course in America, we're doing better than they are in Europe because we kick ass and they don't. But we're not. I don't even know what the replacement rate is. What, 2.1 per woman? I'm not even sure though if we're even getting that in whites in the United States.
1.9.
Part three is that right now, or at least as of 2024, Northern Africans and Middle Easterners were considered white in the census. All right, and there's 3.5 to 4 million of these people that, as of the next census reading, will not be considered white anymore. They'll be considered MENA, Middle Eastern Northern Africans. They will not be considered white anymore. And that's a significant population, and I certainly imagine a lot of that population is having more kids than your typical.
Wait, that's what you heard me saying before. That the Palestinians and them Arabs, they are not black, they're white. They've always been white. Alright?
White that we have here in the United States. So we're dropping, and yet somehow, because the baby boomers are still in charge of the cultural dynamics in terms of they don't recognize how much the country is different from what it used to be when they were growing up in the 60s and 70s. Back then, because of basically no immigration at all from like 1920s on, they were never raised around any other, maybe a couple blacks, maybe a couple Hispanics, but other than that, no one else, none, because there's no immigration at all. And they still think, because who they see in their upper enclaves of society, they think that's the rule, not the exception. And they're just wrong, dude. And this is the issue with the baby boomers, is that they're still living in this falsehood of the 50s and 60s and 70s, where, I mean, hell, even the 80s. I mean, just look at some of these videos they post on YouTube about growing up in the 80s, high school in the 80s and stuff. And it's very white, if you went to a ethnically diverse school, but those were the exceptions, certainly not the rules. And that's just not the case anymore. And we live in a very affluent northern Fulton County town, and it's definitely predominantly white, but it's not heavy white, I'll tell you that right now. It's just not. And it's going to be interesting to see how this shakes out, because has there ever been a society that is a large number of minorities all vying for power? I just don't know. I imagine there probably has been. I just don't know what it is. But it's going to be interesting to see. And all these idiots, all these white people particularly, well, this is great. White people are losing, they're losing power and stuff. These people are just dumbasses. There's no other way around that. Those are idiots. The white guilt is so boring. I'm like, oh, God. And the problem, of course, is as more and more whites recognize that we are the minority, more and more whites are be gathering force to say, hey, if everyone else can join a affiliation based on skin, why can't we? And as a Christian, that's not good. We don't want a skin color as our basis for our existence. We want our love of Jesus. And I just, this is my concern, frankly, is that they're gonna try to separate, they being evil, satanic, to separate into race, our uniforms, our skin, essentially, and that's not good. And I just hope people don't fall for that, and I just hope they fall on their knees to turn to Jesus and his Father, the Heavenly Father, who created the whole world, the whole universe, to love us as we should honor him. I just hope that's what we do, but I am kind of worried about that. All right, God bless.
It's my last semester.
Okay, so you've heard, all right, that what it is that the white race is dying out. This is the reason why Godfrey in the United States noticed in Bed-Stuy Do or Die that there's a lot of posters around the neighborhood. It's been gentrified recently, still, no problem. But even if it's been gentrified, what is the agenda of having around the place black women on posters and with a white man? In the UK, it's adverts. Black woman with white men. And if you don't see a black woman, you see a mixed race child. Have a look on your TV. You will see it. They have a thing, Confucian stated, if you control the image, you control the mind. And this is what's taking place, that you find that these black females are being controlled, and they don't even know that they're being controlled, because they are stuck in a white woman stuck in a black woman's body. Any conversation that you have with them, they're pro-white. Just like Kemi Badenoch. She's ashamed, really and truly, to be Nigerian. Listen to what's her name? Candace Owens. Candace Owens is stating that Black Lives Matter. No, I don't like Black Lives Matters because there was a problem with Black Lives Matters. That's why I never supported them in any of their marches because it was run by a bunch of LGBT, and I don't know what the Q is, but LGBTQ. Uh, and I'm saying in part of the manifesto, it was in part of the manifesto, it stated that they wanted transgender males to lead cisgenders. Now, who they're calling a cisgender is I am the cisgender, right? Which in actuality, I am not a cisgender. It's heterosexuals. So I could never support Black Lives Matters. But when Candace Owens stated that Black Lives Matters was set up as a criminal enterprise so that black people could go on the streets as gangs and roam and destroy the place. That's not true. This is a white woman speaking. So as I said, I give Candace Owens props. She's very intelligent, very articulate, but it's a white woman stuck in a black woman's body. So to wrap this all up, I'm not telling you to agree with me. I'll never want you to agree with me, but I would like you to understand where I'm coming from. Why we've got this influx. When you go on the high roads in the streets in London, you will see some beautiful black females, and they're not giving the young black males a chance because they're dating a trailer park white dude. Have a look and see some of these decrepit looking white men that some beautiful black sisters are with. I can't even call them sisters no more. What I'm trying to say to you is that there is a gender. They're doing it in the United States. They're doing it over here. And it's because the white race is declining rapidly. So in the next 50 to 100 years, you may not have too many whites around the place. And that's the reason why they need the mixed race children to marry white males or white females so that they can replenish. Because remember, our genes are the strongest genes, so it needs to be replenished, right? The white people need us to replenish their race. Anyway, as I said, I don't expect you to agree with me. And let me say one more thing also, is that depend on your environment. If say like you were a black person and you was raised in Italy, then the choices of you having a black male is far and few in between. So situations like that I can give and saying, all right, you're from a particular place, you're growing up, there's not too many black males around the place, your next door neighbors are white. Okay, I can understand that. In the United States, I can understand it. I understand it also because in the corporate America, if you're the woman, the black woman is say an accountant, and her husband works in McDonald's, her counterpart at work is going to be another white male. So if she has any problem with her accountant or they can speak to one another. They can go to dinner. They have something in common to talk about. But her husband, this is not a sweeping indictment, but this is the way it usually goes in the United States, that her husband, what's she going to talk about? Flipping a burger? No, so it's not going to work. So all I'm trying to say to you is Confucian stated you control the image. The image is white men with black females. Once you can do that, you control their mind. And it's not my mind, it's not some of your mind, it's the black females that's dating Caucasian males. Anyway, y'all have a pleasant afternoon, morning, evening, night, whatever it is to y'all. Y'all take care. I'm the regional OG, aka Uncle the Corporal. Yes, that's it. I'm the corporal. I'm not a five-star general. I'm a corporal in the army. All right. So I catch you on the rebound. Hello, one. Peace.